Oh, and welcome to my living room from yet another angle. So I I have been having a time and my cat is crying somewhere and I have no idea why. And I don't have my tripod and I'm just doing this by the skin of my teeth. I barely have time to get this filmed before it's supposed to go live because I had a different video filmed, but I don't like the way it turned out because it was too tangential. It was one of those moments where I knew what I wanted to talk about, I'd planned out all of my points about it, and then I just couldn't get through those points at all. And that is kind of what inspired me to make this video where you, dear camera, are sat on a pillow on my knees so that I can hold this for the whole time that I want to talk. And because of that, we had to turn. So my yellow wall that you normally see is over here. And this is my brand new bookshelf. And by brand new, I mean it's been in my family since before I was born. And now it's mine. And as you can see, we have games. Mostly games, because we're in my living room and this is where the games live. Also, this is now our second TBR shelf. We have another TBR shelf, which is the same one that I've shown on my Instagram before with the Darkwood shelf, next to my favourite bookshelf, right? And now we have a second TBR shelf because we have too many TBR books. And that is because it was very recently my wife's birthday, so I bought her a lot of books. And then once the books have been read, they get moved from the TBR shelf to somewhere else. And we will get through all of those, I guarantee it. Also, the ones that are piled on top are ones that are currently actively being read. It's not like we have so many that we couldn't just put them all. Anyway, not the point. The point is, that was a very long introduction to get to. I'm having a time. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I know that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that is giving everybody else a time too. The time is not a good one. So I wanted to talk about writing in the face of that, right? Like, or not even just writing, it's making art in any capacity. But I do book. This is where I normally gesture at all of my books, which are not behind me. So, but like, I write books, so that's obviously where my focus is going to be. But it's not just books that you can use for this. It's any kind of art at all. That includes food-based art, like baking and cooking. It includes visual art, like drawing, painting, that kind of thing. It involves literary art, like books and poems and short stories and memoirs even, I don't know, stuff. It includes like fiber art, like sewing and knitting and crochet and embroidering, all of that kind of stuff. There's loads and loads of pieces of art that can be involved in this. And I don't want anyone to hear the word art and immediately be there like, oh no, I can't do that, I do crafting. Like, I'm including crafting under the largest umbrella version of the word art, right? And the thing is when you're having a time, it can feel nearly impossible to create anything. Or you end up feeling like, what's the point? Or you end up feeling like nothing's going to be good enough. Or even if you try, you really end up believing that nothing you're making is good enough. And it's very easy to fall into that. But art is a really powerful thing because it's not just that it's human beings have been making art since the dawn of time, or the dawn of humanity at the very least. Some of the earliest stuff we have as evidence of humanity is artwork. And I'll be honest, that's a huge part of the logic and the story behind Welcome to Humanity, right? My book, Welcome to Humanity. And the thing about Welcome to Humanity is that, okay, context. I make stickers for all of my book series by series generally, although I do have two for Not That Kind of Dandy. But I make stickers for all of my book series because I like to, because I think that's something people enjoy, because it's something I like getting from books. Like if I can get a sticker based on a book, I absolutely will. Love it. Charge £2 for them when you see me in person. Anyway, the point is that I love a sticker. And so I was like, I'm going to make stickers for all of my books. And for the Guardian Cadet series, it's the Guardian crest. For the Interplanetary Alliance novels, it's the Interplanetary Alliance certified logo. For Not That Kind of Dandy, it's the hats from the front cover. That was very difficult to do, but I did it. And for Welcome to Humanity, it is the handprint. And the reason it's the handprint is twofold. One, because that's an excellent symbol of the book and very easy to turn into a sticker. And I have all the rights to it because it's my fucking hand. And two, is because some of the earliest pieces of human artwork we have are handprints, right? Albeit it's the other way round to the handprint I made for Welcome to Humanity. The earliest pieces of art we have are people laying their hands on a wall, and then adding the paint around it and above it so that the handprint is the blank space left behind, which I think is really cool as like an artistic concept in general. Like I could wax poetic about it, but I won't right now. But that is one of the earliest things we have from human artwork, right? And it's also one of the earliest things that you do in art, like at school or at preschool or at like other child-related activities, are handprints. Handprints are things that parents love to have from their children at various stages. And like, I get it. Not being a parent at all, I completely understand the desire to have this evidence that your child exists in a way that is so uniquely them, despite the fact that in the grand scheme of things, a lot of handprints look very similar. Like there's no way that anyone would know that the Welcome to Humanity hand is my hand, except that I keep telling people it's my hand. And where I'm going with all of this is that we have been making artwork forever. It's an intrinsically human thing to do. Whether it's something complicated and that requires a lot of practiced skill, or whether it's something as simple as a handprint or a footprint, or I don't know, any other thing you can make or do. And I think when times are tough and things are bad, it can be such a valuable tool in our arsenals, right? Like, there's two ways that art helps when things are, well, the way they are. And thing number one is as emotional processing, as a way to make yourself feel something else or work through your emotions, right? People say about like fibercraft and fiber art a lot of the time is the whatever you're feeling will go into the item that you are crocheting, knitting, whatever, right? It's a thing. It's a known enough thing that it is talked about in those kinds of circles as, if you're feeling bad, don't make a gift for somebody else. If you're feeling bad, or like you're trying to work through something, one of the best things you can do as a fiber crafter is just craft and then put that somewhere. Or some people say you can like wash that emotion out of the fiber once you're done making it. But the point is that the repetitive motion of doing the craft, the act of crafting, is the thing that helps you process through your emotion. And that works for any art, including words, which is a hard one for a lot of people to get their heads around because it doesn't work for everyone. Like, everybody has their own best way of dealing with things. But I think a lot of the time, when situations like are the way they are right now, it feels like a frivolous waste of time sometimes to try and make art that's not a piece of protest, right? if you're just making art for the sake of making art, is that a waste of your time? And the answer is no. For a start, art is almost never a waste of time. And for a second, if it allows you to stand on a more solid foundation because you have taken the time away, made something, even if it's trash, the fact of making something matters and does things to your emotions and your psyche. But being able to step away and do something creative like that will build this solid emotional foundation. It will allow you to process things. It will allow you to get through something and come back feeling more resilient, more refreshed, more capable than you would have if you were actively engaging constantly and burning yourself out. It's also a really great way of stepping away from social media, because you can't be, well, you can, but you can't really be on your phone and crafting at the same time. And by on your phone, I mean on social media or on your phone. If you're writing on your phone, then obviously you're on your phone. But like, do you see the point? Like, if you are actively writing on your phone, you can't then be using your phone for other things at the same time. If you are actively drawing on a piece of paper, you can't also be scrolling your phone while you're doing the drawing. You can't really realistically do both of those things at the same time. And if anybody wants to take that as a challenge and try, that is your business. I'm not instituting a challenge. I'm sure you could figure out a way to do it. But the point is, it's a very easy and consuming way to step away from the information box you carry around in your pocket at all times. And because it's an active activity, you are less likely to reach for that phone again. Like, watching a TV show or a movie or even reading a book is reading a book is slightly higher on the list. I'm fully there, like, don't read book. No, like, I want you to read books, especially mine. But my point is that, like, consuming a piece of media is not going to give you the same amount of attention grabbing that creating something will. And while I'm not saying don't watch a movie, don't watch a TV show, don't read a book, absolutely not saying that, the act of doing something physical to make craft is a big part of why it works. That's what I'm trying to say. Whether that something physical is, writing by hand, typing by hand, dictating, it is a consuming thing. It takes more than just a receptive part of your brain. It takes an expressive part of your brain to do. The second way that art is helpful during times like, these, is that it can be used as communication, as protest, and as a tool in the process of making your voices heard, right? Whether it is, whatever format it takes, really, it's about what you want to communicate. And while all art is open to interpretation, even the stuff that you think is really obvious, it is still a valuable way of communicating an idea to someone. Like, I write weekly short stories. If you've not been here before, by the way, hello, I would gesture again at the wall of books that is normally behind me when I'm in my office, which I'm not. I know there is a wall of books behind me, but normally they're my books, not other people's books. If you haven't been here before, hi, my name is Will Soulsby McCreth, and I write books. If you would like to find out more about them, they're in the description. There's links to my website and stuff in the description box below, right next to like and subscribe buttons if you feel like sticking around. But the point is that one of the things that I do is I write free short stories, right? I share, rather, free short stories every single week. I write them also. I don't just share them. That would be weird. I write and share free short stories every single week on nopoodles.wordpress.com. You can read them if you like. And I have been doing it for 8 years now, by the way. 8 years of free short stories. But recently, what I've been writing as short stories the next few upcoming ones that I have, and I might try and write some other stuff to intersperse in amongst them, but the next three I have pre-written are all dystopian narratives. Because a big part of the free short stories is I just write whatever I feel like writing in the moment, which is why I feel like, I don't know if this is accurate, but I feel like they go through very clear trends. Where like for a while there I was writing a lot of dragon-based stories, and then for a while I was writing a lot of like there's a lot of like stylistic similarities, and like this is a section of my time that I've obviously been like consuming a specific type of media. This is a section of my time where I've obviously been consuming a specific type of media. I don't know if that's actually true, but it's what it feels like when I'm writing them. But anyway, the next three stories I have written already are all dystopian narratives. Every single one of them. Because it's a reflection of how I'm feeling, and it's a reflection of the world that we're currently in. Like, I'm trying to remember which one's coming next. I think I can't remember what I called it, but the draft version was called Outliers. And the premise of it is basically that the more, like, the only people that are allowed to exist in this dystopian worldscape are people who fit the majority label. So you have to have brown hair, you have to have brown eyes. These are the rules, right? And anyone who is an outlier is not to be trusted, is to be shunned, is all of those kinds of things. And it's a very short story, because they're all very short stories. It's a very short story, but the premise is in there, and the point of it is very much a reflection of a real world situation that is currently happening in my country, where I live, which is the UK. And something that directly affects me. And the thing is it's actually something that directly affected me twice over. It's two different things. Oh, sorry. It's two different things that have affected me very directly. And I don't want to talk about what they are or how they specifically affect me. But the point of the story is the feeling behind it. And the way that these situations sound to someone who is in that outlier community. Oh, they're a minority, so it doesn't really matter. It's less than 1% of the population. What's the big deal if we make them, I don't know, destitute, stuck in the house, blah, 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 blah. And these are the ways that art can help in form of protest, right? Is anybody going to read this story? Well, I mean, yeah, because people read my stories. Is it going to make a difference? Is it going to take it off? Is it going to take off big style and be something that is referenced back 20 years from now? Probably not. But it does still communicate the feeling to other people. And not only does it communicate the feeling to other people in the form of explaining what it feels like to be on the inside of the outlier, but also it communicates to other outliers that, hey, we exist. I'm still here, just like you. We're going to figure it out. We're going to make it work. We're going to try and survive the best that we can. And those are both different forms of, like, a style of protest. And yes, absolutely. Should you be doing other things? Absolutely. You should be doing other things. I'm not going to say anything specific because this is a public platform and all of my real life political action exists outside of my authorial situation. This is my professional page. I am talking as a professional author. I am not going to be sharing my personal, private citizen actions as a professional author because I have it's a whole thing, and I don't want to get into it too much because I feel like that would be such a tangent, but real quick, just for clarity, I feel like putting online what you're doing as form of political action is a really dangerous precedent to set because it invites scrutiny, really, from any side, any which way. It invites scrutiny, and that's not a good idea. For a second, it can provide a lot of, like, if what you're doing ends up being termed, whether it is currently at the time that you're doing it or later termed as something inappropriate or illegal, because, you know, things can be made illegal after the fact. Evidence of it online is obviously very dangerous. And three is it's my personal business what I'm doing. And I do have a mild separation between professional stuff and personal stuff. For example, the fact that my wife doesn't show her face on my channel. That's another example of personal and professional lines and boundaries. And I am very grateful that you guys are so far respecting that. And I appreciate it. I really do. So the point is that there are lots of ways to use art as protest, even if it only ever makes a very small impact. Each small impact is so massive. The bystander effect is not real in the form that it is often touted as, because often a story is told about the bystander effect that is not the truth. Like there's a woman, she's attacked, people don't call for help. That's not true. People do call for help. People did call for help. It was the systems in place that didn't do anything to help this woman, not the people, not the bystanders. But the bystander effect is real in the form of my wife used to be a Holocaust educator. Genuinely, that was her job. And she talked a lot about, like, when schools would go to a specific Holocaust education situation that she was working in, one of the big things they taught was the bystander, the person who didn't do anything to help, but didn't do anything bad either. And it's like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not actually a good position to be in. That's not actually a good choice. And how historically that is one of the things that allows the situation like Shoah, like the Holocaust, to happen. It's very interesting, and I highly recommend going and looking it up. And if I have the time and space and resources available, I will link to stuff in the description box, so that you can go and look that up in your own time with, you know, sources that are reliable. But I have to wait until my wife is around to be able to ask her for help finding those sources, because obviously she knows what the sources are because she used to work in it, and I did not work in it, so I'm not sure. Anyway, the point is that even just taking the time to prove yourself not a bystander, any action taken is valuable action. So, how? Right? That becomes the next question. And the answer to that is much more nebulous. Because we've covered the why, and the why is twofold, for yourself or for protest, right? But how is a whole separate question. And the thing is it is, like I said, more nebulous, much harder to answer, because in the grand scheme of things, it's a very personal thing to make art, right? So all I have by way of advice for this is do it yourself. Make it badly. Just try. Give yourself 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever amount of time you can eke out of your day. Sit, stand, lie down, whatever format of putting yourself in artistic position with the tools of your art, and just do something with it. As a writer, some of what this looks like for me is either sitting down with my laptop or Ellipsis on my phone. I love Ellipsis writing software. It's a browser-based thing. It's really cool. I like it. They're very anti-AI, which is a stance I'm behind. Or like a piece of paper even, and a pen or a pencil, but usually a pen. I'll just sit down with one of these tools, and I will potentially not even write anything narrative. Potentially I'll just be there like, I really want to be like scribbling down. I really want to be making words happen. I want to come up with a story idea, but I just feel real bad right now. And like, that's obviously going through my own personal emotions about it. Or sometimes I'll be there like, can you imagine like this situation in a slightly alternate context? Outliers. And suddenly I have a whole story, right? And both of those things are completely reasonable, and both of those things work perfectly as a form of making art in a situation like this. My wife does crochet. She made, again, this is normally where I like point over my shoulder because Moopsie's usually behind me and my space whale. But she crocheted Moopsie from Star Trek Lower Decks, but she also crocheted me a space whale from my book, Unlicensed Delivery. And the beauty part of all of that is that that's normally what she does, right? She normally does crochet. That's her big fiber craft that she likes to do. I mean, she does loads of fiber craft. She's amazing. But the other day she picked up knitting needles and she was like, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to try and do this. She spent an hour on that knitting. We have nothing to show for it because she spent the entire hour trying to learn how to cast on. But you'll never guess what. She felt better after. Which is kind of the whole point. Or, you know, potentially kind of the whole point. It's not about whether you're making something, whether that something is like commercially viable or whatever. The point is the act of making. And then potentially the act of sharing as protest. People who want complete control want the general public to be tired, to be burnt out, to not have any energy or time or desire to participate in things. It is vital to not end up in that position if you can avoid it. And I recognize that it's really hard to find the time to do things for yourself and for your community when prices are soaring and wages are not, and everything else. I am in exactly the same position. It's hard. And I'm not trying to put pressure on anybody to be or do any specific thing. But if you can eke out 5 minutes to scribble on a piece of paper or make one loop of a crochet or do some terrible embroidery or whatever you have access to and ability to do, it's worth just giving it a shot. And then if you hate it, you can shove it in a drawer and never look at it again. And if you think, actually, this is a powerful message, you can share it with other people. And if you like dystopian stories, you can always read my book. No, I'm kidding. Well, you can. There is one, but like, I'm not actually doing that pitch. I'm kidding. I'm sorry that this one was so weird, like location-wise, angles-wise. The fact that I can't keep my hands still. The one that I'm holding the camera with. Such is life. It's been a time. I'm having a time. I hope that things go a little bit easier for all of us soon. And I feel weird mentioning, but I will be at MCM Comic Con this month in London. If you are going, I will be in writer's block with my books and my stickers and my wife. In the meantime, I hope you'll take my advice. And I hope things get easier soon, because my gosh.